Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another day of the North American Challenger League. I am Reed Rapid Melton, and joining me is Chris Studio Grant. Today we'll be facing off, a lot of teams will be facing off, but none more so than LoLPro, who have 3 games to start off the day. So if you guys are new to LoLPro, or if you're old fans, you're going to be seeing a lot of them. There's a lot of stuff going on today, as this is the last day in the next to last week of NACL Season 2. So we've got one more week of the regular season after this, Studio.
Yeah, it's going to be hype. We, of course, have playoffs after that, but more information is going to be released as that comes out. So, we ourselves, we're still getting that same info, maybe at the same pace as you guys, but picks and bans have started. Let's go ahead, hop on in. LoLPro, they have to make up for some lost games. Not lost games, but missed games a few weeks ago, where they were, I believe, Godicon and...
they were playing in their North American Challenger Series match. So they've been out for a little bit, but it's nice to have them back. They played last week, but as they are making things up this week, they are first off taking on Email Support. Now, Email Support is a team that I feel like they've almost won most of their games, but of course almost doesn't really count. They did pick up a win yesterday, I believe it was, over, was it Lion? No, they lost yesterday because they played against Team 8.
Yes.
But it was still an incredibly close game. Like, that game was 90 kills a minute. It was ridiculous.
That was an awesome game, and that's how Email Support plays. They have really hype matches. They have really, really awesome gameplay, but then the mid to late game rolls around, Baron shows up, and things tend to
I feel like they're kind of,
unfortunately.
The NACL's Dignitas. You just kind of avoid that one little part of the map, and you're good. But getting into this match, they're facing off against LoLPro. And LoLPro are a team that, well, first of all, they're going to get the Lulu. Jackie actually feels a little bit more used to Ziggs, going to be playing here with us tonight. Because once again, we do have 2 subs here for LoLPro. As once again, it's going to be Jackie and I believe it is Lol Lod subbing in for his role. Hood Stomp's coming in there. And of course, rest of the roster should be pretty similar.
No, Ninjakin and Jakin, whatever you want to call him. he did do pretty well last night.
That's true.
Didn't pick up the win, unfortunately. So, Lod as a mid laner, it's worked really damn well.
Yeah, I saw him
he's
play
really
yesterday.
Good.
I was like, I did not expect that. You expect like 80 carry mechanics to maybe be more towards micro-intensive champions. You just played LeBlanc and had tons of bursts.
Yeah, you expect it to be more like, all right, I'm going to go mid, and he's just going to farm a lot. And it's just going to be rough because he's going to be the 80 carry, but playing as a mid role, not really be able to transition. But he roamed. He played aggressively. I still like LoLPro with Lod just subbing in for Jackie. We do have some more picks going through, though, as Lucian has been locked in. That aggressive bot laner, and of course, Elise, the OP jungler, to make it through, with a Lulu being given to LoLPro.
And that does put Azingi on Elise, and you'll actually notice Fiddlesticks is banned, probably against Azingi, but there's no Karthus ban. So might have been banning that out against the support, because when you leave Elise up, you kind of have to pick it, because if you don't, then you're sure your opponents are going to go for that. Just one of the strongest junglers out there right now.
And of course, actually, Elise herself does pretty well versus Karthus, because you try and engage a fight into Karthus, you can get to him, close the distance really easily, and you can actually absorb some melee waste with your Spiderlings. They will die, and that will actually negate your DPS, but you're going to take very reduced damage yourself, and it's rough for Karthus in the jungle. We haven't actually seen that many games of jungle Karthus, I think 2 or 3. Quite often it's banned, but even when it's not banned, it's not his go-to jungler quite yet.
Yeah, and while we won't see Karthus this game, what we are going to see is Lowe's signature Sona. So I know there's a lot of Sona fans out there. Doesn't get a lot of playtime anymore just because she's a little bit squishy and doesn't quite offer the same big hard engage. Like, Flash Crescendo's cool and everything, but it's not a Flash Tibbers. Crescendo goes away. Tibbers, stays around. So you've got even the hard engage that you're seeing here from Leona. Leona, a great lane partner against Sona, just because there's all that burst damage.
Yeah, you press Zenith's Blade onto Sona. If it hits, Sona's probably dead.
Yeah.
We'll see what AD carry they use to match up with Sona. Caitlyn has been banned out. It's someone who with the slow can actually protect her, but just a normal aggressive auto attacks can do quite well.
Oh, and it's actually a change here to Thresh at the last second for Email Support, and as that gets locked in, why do you think they went with Thresh instead of the Leona they were hovering over?
Thresh Express, man. Those lanterns. The lanterns have been crazy. We saw amazing lantern play all throughout yesterday. Actually, Lo had to face that himself.
And you know what I'm thinking? The last pick is the mid lane pick here. And Yasui, we used to call him Yasui because he was a big fan of Yasuo. Hasn't been banned or picked so far, so I want to see that come out here for Email Support.
Well, we'll see what they lock in, because theoretically this could have been a... trying to see how they'll adjust this, because it'll be Trundle top, but... They know they're going against Shyvana, and that's still a good lane for both Shyvana and Trundle. If Shyvana pushes in, she'll win. So the question is going to be, who do they match up to go into essentially the mid-slot blind.
And I really like the Trundle pick here because not only does he steal additional stats against Shyvana when if Shyvana ults in, she doubles her her resistances she gains from Dragon's Descent. Well, you just steal twice as much away. So it's a nice pick for Trundle. And the other thing I like about Trundle is the counter engage. You try to dive in, you just Pillar. And Pillar can actually stop Dragon's Descent because it's a knockback. So
unfortunately, it's going to switch to the Jax at the last moment, which is I like quite a bit for that dive in, going for the stun. Now, Yasuo could work. There's 2 ways to start the ultimate outside of his own tornado on the team, which would be Thresh's Flay and Shyvana's ultimate. Elise and Lucian, unfortunately, don't have that many knockups. The thing is, that's kind of rough to pull off for a big team fight, so that's why I would not expect it quite so much. But he could still pop it in. He's still useful, even if he doesn't have that much knockup to back himself up.
yeah, and you know what I'm thinking right here is that maybe you don't go for a Yasuo, you just pick something for scaling, because Lulu's going to get ridiculously annoying. It's going to be mid lane, and it's going to primarily be maybe about the roam game, but more about those big team fights. So you just pick something that outscales and team. Probably not a Zillion. You know, if I had to pick a Zillion.
That would be the placeholder pick Zillion.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and pop things back out while we figure out exactly what Zillion is. When we do figure that out, we'll let you guys know as soon as we find out. So it's the mystery.
Yeah, teams do have to rejoin the lobby. It looks like Champions Select has restarted again, so we'll go ahead, hop back in there, see if we get any good spellings.
All right, let's see. We have SVV, and then, of course, BB, and then Caitlyn at the end. So there's Caitlyn banned again. But I'm just trying to make sure they didn't ban away any of the champions that were picked. All right.
No, we're good.
Looks like we're good.
Yeah, Caitlyn banned out, but was banned before, so none of that crazy shenanigans. And all the other bans are fun. Go with fun. Oh, yeah. Let's see what the mid laner is. It was not Zillion before, or was Zillion before. I'm assuming it's not Zillion now.
It is Orianna. And
there we go.
There we go. That's
that
what I was talking
sense.
about. The big team fight presence. You've got it from Sona. You got it from Lulu. And just tons of crazy damage. Looking at LoLPro's lineup, that is a lot of scary damage, but no real solid tank on the roster. Like, Jack's kind of tanky because, you know, he dodges auto attacks, gets reduced damage from area effect spells, and can get pretty tanky once he throws on Grandmaster's Might, but I don't know.
They're dependent on 2 things right now. A, that they can stop Shyvana's ultimate, which with Lulu and Kha'Zix, both of them can actually pull it off. You use a stand aside or you use Lulu's ultimate to interrupt her mid-flight. And B, their other hope is going to be that they just snowball this game like crazy. Because Jax can passively farm up top, but with Draven in the bot lane, like Draven Sona is a decent lane. It does good, okay damage early, but against Lucian Thresh, Lucian Thresh is crazy. That's one of the best lanes. There's tons of CC, tons of damage.
Yeah, I'm missing my Annie down there in the bottom lane. I wanted to see another cuddling lane, but it looks like we're just going for straight up aggression. And bottom, definitely a lane to watch just because that's where a lot of that aggression is going to be. But like you said, we gave away 2 very, very strong junglers. Kha'Zix, great in the jungle 1v1 against basically everyone except Elise. So Spiderlings, they keep you from being isolated, so you can just fight a Kha'Zix very, very early on and win out those trades. But as we hop here into the spectator delay, we're going to go ahead and throw it over to a quick commercial break. Now, before giving a shout out to our sponsors, you can see them right down below the stream. If you want to check them out, we'd certainly appreciate it. Check out LOL Class. If you want to click on the link right down below, it's a LOL Class icon, sends you to lolclass.com, where you can sign up for some very affordable lessons with all of your favorite Challenger and LCS pros. There you can learn how to play some of their favorite champions their way, and a lot of helpful tips there. Of course, you can sign up for all of those things at lolclass.com. I'm handing you 2 this time, studio.
We also have Phoenix peripherals, of course. They have impeccably crafted, high-quality computer peripherals. For example, they've got keyboards, mice, mouse pads, and headsets. All of them high quality, all of them top-notch. You can go ahead, check them out down below, Phoenix peripherals. And, of course, Loot Crate. Loot Crate will offer you a crate every month for $13.37. That crate will be full of loot, and that loot, it's going to be pretty awesome. It'll be generally nerd peripherals or nerd swag, nerd something related to gaming or just kind of the general nerdiness world around us. So, for example, this month's theme is Attack on Titanfall, which will give you either a mech/anime-styled shirt with I think the theme being giant robot-type things that smash stuff. So go ahead,
pretty cool.
Check out lootcrate.com. But with that, we're going to take a quick break to make sure the team's getting nice and ready. So when we return here at the North American Challenger League, we'll have LoLPro going up against email support. Welcome back, Simmers, to the North American Challenger League. We got LoLPro going against Email Support. LoLPro wearing the blue trunks, Email Support in the red trunks. Joining me is of course, Reed Rapid Melton. How you doing today?
You know, it's good to be back for our last day of the next to last week, man. We're coming down to it. We got to get those standings in place, and we only have one more week of games to do it. So it's nice to finish things out with a very strong performance here from Email Support. So I'm really interested to see how Email Support do here, because I feel like I've always wanted them to do very well, and while in most games they have, it hasn't been enough to pick up a lot of wins. So they come into this match with, I think, 3 wins under their belt, or I think they actually just picked up their 4th. So it's nice to see them with a pretty strong carry lineup, but it's more about team fight synergy for Email Support, whereas LoLPro has just picked a ton of damage.
Yeah, LoLPro, they have got the burst packed up. They have got a lot of great mid to late game just beat you up, sell down. There's going to be some profane words there, but not at the moment. But I feel with the DPS they have, it's crazy. However, they have to survive the laning phase, and a lot of it can go pretty terribly wrong for them, to be quite honest. Lulu, for example, should be safe in the mid lane, but Jax is pretty gankable as a champion, has some decent escape options, especially if he does hold on to his trinket for a jump with a leap strike. But it's still kind of risky. It's still going to be dangerous from up top lane. Of course, Resona, that is Thresh's lane to just dominate. Draven can try and back up Sona. He does a lot of damage early on, but not that much compared to a late game or mid game Draven, just because his scaling needs to kick in. And his Q, the spinning axe, does have fairly low values early on. So I want to see if Email Support can really try and dominate that bot lane.
All right, well, the lane I'm going to be looking for, of course, is pretty much not actually a lane at all. It's the jungle. We've seen Azingi play a lot of non-standard champions, but this time around he's on Elise, who is pretty much the champion you want to go for in the jungle nowadays. Almost picked her banned every single game, and it's nice to see Azingi on something that should be a very strong source of strength. There we go, in the jungle for Email Support. Haven't seen the junglers really come out there. Ooh, a missed flay there from Do More, who is, of course, Adrian, or temp name 0206, in case you guys were wondering.
Still able to win out that trade, at least for the moment. Once Sun hits level 2, the sustain will kick in, and these even fights are going to get a whole lot worse for Email Support. However, at the moment, they're staying strong. They're getting a lot of damage out. Actually, Do More taking quite a bit of harass. Can Zig actually fight that back?
All right, well, there's actually an Ignite on to Do More, as he is running right back to his turret. Doesn't want to fight with that Ignite on. That's a couple of Draven axes, and he's dead.
He's actually going to pop the Crystalline Flask. Definitely a different pickup for the support. The reason he makes sense, though, there's a lot of magic damage coming up from Soda, so Doran's Shield isn't necessarily that useful. And the sustain's really going to help him survive the early part of the game.
You're not, like, Doran's Shield against Draven, though, I feel is probably where you want it.
He's not worried about Draven, because if Draven auto-attacks him, then Lucian punishes Draven, and that's what's been happening. But Sona Harass has actually been beating him up quite a bit.
All right, so there's a lot of extra regeneration and sustain, but that sustain is only valuable once you go back to base a few times. So we'll have to see if he takes more trips back just to refill that flask and get that hashtag value there. But as for now, it's kind of on the back foot. Bottom lane, of course, low, starting with that extra damage from a Spell Thief's Edge, or I forget what the first one is. It's Spell Thief's Edge, and then it upgrades into...
It used to be the witching thing, but I actually cannot remember the support items. It's still, like, to me, it's still Shirilia's, the Talisman of Ascension. I just want to call it Shirilia's
Never forget. That's true. Shirilia was pretty awesome. So I feel like she definitely deserves a few shout-outs here and there. There's a Lantern out there. Do More flashing and tries for the... he was actually trying Lowe's own move against him, where you throw the Lantern back and then, flash forward after you've pulled it into the death sentence. It's something cool to watch for now. Ooh, actually, Dragon Raider getting ignited. There's double ignites down there, especially with Kha'Zix coming in. Oh, heaven time. The flash into the other bush, and there's the jump for first blood. Going to Hanser.
Rough for Dragon Raider. He might have been able to fight off Hanser at the last second if he had a cooldown available. Unfortunately, could not survive, and that is the risk you pull as Shyvana going for that hard part push.
Oh, now a re-engage. Yeah, it's the NASCAR gank where you just exercise your ability to turn left, come right back down into lane. They already blew one flash. There's actually the exhaust and the nice dodge there of that cocoon, but is it enough? The explosive Spiderling taking him down, and now Draven is going off. He grabs himself one kill on to Do More, but caught between a rock and a spider, which is not necessarily a hard place. It's going to be a hard place for him to get out of. He does go down a double kill for Zingy early on.
It's going to be dangerous for the rest of the map. However, Hoodstomp getting that kill, he actually does get some decent adoration stacks. Didn't have a whole lot, but he had a few to stacked up. He's going to get a decent amount of gold off that, and it's actually still a slight lead in favor of LoLPro. with that first blood, with that assist. I'm scared that Draven might have gotten a little bit more gold in the end, just because of that passive, but we'll see how that does pan out, whether or not he can really kind of assert his dominance. The Thresh Doran's shield, that's what he needed, because that was good counterplay from Hood Stomp, just auto-attack Thresh the entire time. Could not burst him down quite yet. Putting X just not good enough at this level.
Nice auto-attack harass, but jump it in. Heaven time not there in time. It has a 1-for-1 trade in the mid lane, but we do have some assist gold going over there.
Poor Laud. He went for the big play, he went for the setup, but it's just too much damage from Orianna. That sustained DPS, even early on, just because of her passive enhancing her auto attack, makes her very threatening to 1v1. Kind of like Lulu, but I actually think I like Orianna's passive more. Early game. Mid to late game, Lulu's passive is amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the start, Orianna has a little bit more
It's true, and kind of like Ziggs passive too. They're just AP-empowered auto attacks. It's a cool idea. It's not necessarily unique, but what is going to be unique is I feel like the way that they play their lanes. Because for Orianna, she is a farming monster. And while Lulu farms pretty well, she's all about making those big plays. You can even go for some super crazy dives. That's actually why I like the Lulu inclusion with such a big assassin lineup with Jax and Kha'Zix in there. Because they can dive in, and they're building full damage. And then you give them the tank stats with a nice ult.
Yeah, it's that way to make your DPS assassin all of a sudden a tanky DPS assassin. But with that kill mid lane, you can already see that Orianna actually has a decent lead in farm. It's about 15, not too massive damage, and going on to Hood Stomp. Stun does land.
Oh, there's a nice flay back in, no chance, and a nice, that lantern is pretty good. And oh, now there's the pop-up, is exactly what we were talking about. Command Shockwave backwards, flash in Heaven time. Grabs himself the 4th kill of his team.
And 2nd kill overall, if Kha'Zix gets ahead, we'll see this time and time again, he will go for that bursty Lizard Elder early on and just try and chunk people down. And it's really hard to deal with, especially someone like Orianna, who her mobility skills can be Command Dissonance, not that effective versus Whimsy and Glitterlance. And of course, she blew her flash. She's essentially done for in terms of mobility in the mid lane.
And like I said early on, this is going to be a match decided by the junglers, both doing incredibly well so far. But I actually like the inclusion of Lulu for a couple different reasons. One, it makes you cool when you jump in because you get a knock-up, you get a slow, you get a lot of extra health. But the extra health that the Giant Growth gives you is actually going to make Elise a lot less strong because, well, it allows you to take a lot more damage, but it gives you higher health so that her percentage health damage skills do a little bit less.
Actually, no, they would scale up.
Well, it depends on which one you're using.
It depends, yeah. So it depends on how much HP you have when it does pop off.
Yeah, if you're going for the execute and all of a sudden you get a bunch of HP, well, it doesn't really work quite so well. And that's the situation in which you're really going to go for those big saves, and they're going to save you even harder. So if you look back towards the bottom lane, huge wave building up here. So Hood Stomp and Low definitely have the pushing advantage, but I've gotten ganked quite a few times, and Adrian's definitely been helping him out there. Now top lane, you can start to see those Jax trades really come back there. And oh, Dragon Raider might be in a little bit of trouble there, but we'll back out just in time.
Dragon Raider playing the Dragon, unfortunately can't just stand up versus Jax quite yet. This is not good for Shyvana. She's falling behind now. She does have a lot of burst possible when she has her ultimate up. Thing is, Jax just has so much more sustained damage than Shyvana. Like, the burnout is nice, but as compared to Jax with an auto attack reset on the Empowered Strike,
right.
The heavy burst on Grandmaster's Might, she just doesn't have enough DPS, and it's also mixed damage. So that Chain Vest is nice, but it's not going to stop all of Jax's damage, and that's going to be rough for Dragon Raider. He's going to need some help. Kaz has already gotten top, I believe, once, and then with that pressure, it's just been Hanser making the big plays and staying so far in control in this matchup.
All right, well, if you're losing it, Jax, it never really gets better as the game progresses, unless you're playing some sort of super hyper scaling carry. I don't know, like Vayne top. I don't know why you pick Vayne into Jax. That sounds horrible. But now, ooh, jumping in. There's the knockup onto a Zingy. Heaven time stealthing in. It looks like they've changed targets now to Yasui. Command Shockwave will pull him against the wall. Another nice slow coming out there from his Void Spikes, but no kills, just a couple ults traded back.
Defensive play. Once, like, both Lulu and Orianna can defend the junglers so well that once Orianna showed up for the fight, it's like, all right, we're not really going to make a whole lot happen here. Let's just go ahead, chase him out, go for some damage. Shockwave does get used, and it wasn't to a great effect. It was some damage, but nothing too massive, so Lulu can actually sustain that up or just go back to base and try and punish Orianna for not having that cooldown available.
All right, well, Zingy's decided to let his Spiderlings take up this dragon, and that is one of the benefits of playing Elise. You have your Spiderlings to tank. You have a lot of burst damage and sustain. You can go for those very, very early objectives. That's a 10-minute Dragon, and more importantly, it's uncontested, which may mean that all that pressure that Azinki's been putting bottom lane all this time has finally really started to pay off. Email support still with a tie gold count, not getting the lead even though they picked up the Dragon.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of the lanes are going a little bit rough right now. There was the extra adoration going on Draven as well. Top lane's going to be the major issue, though, and some of the assists have also kind of balanced it out. There's been some solo kills going on.
Oh, Eventime's going to jump in. There's the slow and a lot of damage, but does he have what it takes? Not enough for the kill.
Unfortunately, those Void Spikes did miss, and that would have been the secured kill right there, because that extra bit of slow would have been enough to hunt down Yasui, who, like I said, Orianna is not the most mobile champion, especially if you do use Dissonance for farming. As your only mobility skill is going to be a movement speed boost, and movement speed boosts tend to do fairly poorly versus heavy slows, let's say from a red buff or a Kaz. Because top lane, Dragon Raider.
Man, there's the kill flashing in on him. Actually, did he flash in there? No, he didn't. He just leapt in there. He leapt striked. Leap struck? Leap struck. There we go. One of them had to get the past tense. It's a rough way to do it, but there you go. It's kill for Jax in that 1v1, and that's 2-0 versus a 0-2 now after that earlier gank did wind up with Haunter dying as well. So top lane is a rough place to be. Hoodstomp's like, got to stop micro on there. It was like, lag, nope, just killing minions down there. But with the group up mid, we're just starting to take down those big global objectives. There's a Cocoon, will miss, but the command shockwave right back in. No culling necessary, but still wanted to come out there. 5-5, there's a nice swirling death to clear out the minion wave. Turret stays alive for now.
Top turret does go down, and Draven designed a lot of farm bot lane with that freeze, so this is actually equaling out the lanes quite well. Email support, they're not going to get the turret because of Sona showing up because of Draven's ultimate. They've already lost top turret, and Shyvana's just going to be in even more danger. She's going to have to run a long ways away to stay safe from Jax. Overall, the rotation attempt for email support, it was okay. It had some potential, but in terms of map control, they just fell pretty far behind. Jax, he does have one disadvantage now. If he pushes too far forward, then he'll be in very easy gank range. However, he's going up against Shyvana, so he can actually let Dragon Raider kind of push out on his own and then try to fight him closer to his turret, and Dragon Raider doesn't have a whole lot in terms of good options.
Yeah, freezing the lane as Shyvana doesn't really happen, especially since most of them, and Dragon Raider no exception, building Sunfire Cape, kind of auto pushes the wave whether you want it to or not. A little bit of a hybrid build here from Haunter. He's going for both the Blade of the Ruined King and the Trinity Force at the same time. Makes him slower at getting both of them, but it gives him a lot more of an early game presence, which is what he wants, because he wants to get that big Jack snowball rolling. And if you get it rolling big enough, it doesn't matter how far behind you are, because you get a ton of extra gold to put yourself further ahead.
I'm watching Haunter top lane. You can see, like, every time Jax gets near him, he has to run back. Now he's just going to go ahead camp out his own jungle. Force CS being denied. The wet noodle fight up top lane is not a wet noodle fight this time around because Jax, he brings a lamppost instead of a wet noodle to equal out that fight. Shyvana go for the red buff. This is all about denying it from the invade and just securing it for the other team. This does not mean she can fight, unfortunately. Now, the lanes are falling apart for email support in terms of top, but bot's been pretty solid so far. There's a slight CS lead for Draven, but that was off the back of that mid push from email support. So they invested time in pushing, did not really pan out. So lanes are pretty standard. I want to see if we'll just see more camp bottom as actually initiation from the Lantern.
Oh, and there we go. We got the piercing light, and there's the culling onto low. He's not even trying to dodge it. The last shot from the culling. It's Zig to take down low in the bottom lane.
For those long-range AoE or skill shot effects, do not dodge in a straight line. I know you think you'll make it away. I know you think you can dodge it just by flashing forward, but unfortunately not quite enough. Had he dodged a little bit to the side,
man,
it was one shot. It was that last shot that picked him up. Had he dodged a little bit to the side, it would have been A-okay.
At just the tip of the culling hitting him there at the end, taking him down, and now, I don't know, LoLPro, I feel like they have an incredible presence top lane. Jax is super far ahead, great in the jungle, but just the bottom half of the map not going their way.
Yeah, it's been rough. That is just Sona being a squishy support. She's also not very immobile herself. She will get fast once she gets some levels, and her speed boost really gets powerful. But the early game, she's pretty susceptible to just outright dying. Vlad now taking a lot of damage to the bot in the mid. Least does show up. Doesn't land the stun. Kha'Zix's in the area as well.
A lot of damage coming in there, but a nice repel to block out some of that damage coming in from Haunter, or from, well, Haunter's there, but it was actually from Eventime in the jungle. A lot of H's and a lot of roam here. Oh, that is not where you want to be. Stealth in there from Eventime. Oh, and the crescendo just blowing him up. Flash there and a dash over the wall. Nice command protect. It looks like Zig will make it out alive, but not quite so lucky. And ooh, even Dragon Raider, he's going back in now. I'm not sure that's where you want to be. Now he's forced to disengage again. Dragon slipping back to his cave.
That was unfortunately for Draven and for Zig and Thresh. They just walked out to the jungle, tried to go ahead, go for the flank, but they themselves got flanked, got chased down, hunted by the Sona. That was rough for them. The initiation came out from Dragon Raider. It was solid, but Lulu still had her flash up. So despite the good Orianna ultimate from Misui, despite the high damage from the Ignite and just Shyvana's crazy damage as we saw last night versus Cognitive versus Leon, it was just not enough without any follow-up auto attacks because of that flash. So LoLPro take a little bit more in terms of the kills. Gold still very, very even though. And this is an even matchup, but I like the late game with Jax a whole lot more than the late game of email support.
And the other thing that kind of scares me is that email support's strengths have always been in the early game. When they lose early game, the game is just over in like 15 minutes, but when they win early game, it takes them a long time to close things out. And that has sort of been the bane of a lot of North American teams for a while now. It's how do you close out the game, because it always seems to go so late. Maybe that's Season 4 kicking in, or maybe it's email support, but I like it when they try to end games early and it stretches on. It gets a little bit rougher for them specifically, but also, like you mentioned, that's Jack scaling up.
And with that kill, Dragon lead will give email support the tiniest edge of gold. And actually, Orianna had to walk a little bit further out there, could have given that lead right back to LoLPro. Push coming out now. Now, who's got the better team fight right now? With the burst of Jax and Kha'Zix, it would probably come out to LoLPro. They're not going to commit too hard to this team fight, though, because committing to a turret is really on. With Orianna's dangerous.
Lands onto Hood Stomp. No one there for the dive. Not even any follow-up from his Zingy with like his cocoon or anything. So that's a little bit rough. And Dragon Raider actually starting to win out these trades. Stop does have his Sunfire Cape completed. And I don't know. I'm not sure that's necessarily enough to turn this matchup around, but if Heaven Time wants to come up there, he can definitely change the matchup. But he's busy staying mid. Looking to go in for this one. He's trying to head up there, and there we go. We've got Heaven Time coming in from the side, just like I said, leap over the wall, trying to get that execute damage down, flashed out. We'll keep Dragon Raider alive for now, but Haunter getting a little bit of extra help.
And unfortunately for Dragon Raider, he did not have his ultimate up. It was off by about 1 or 2 seconds at that point. Had that Kha'Zix initiation come in a second later, that would have been Haunter using the ultimate, staying safe, and not blowing any extra long cooldowns. Shyvana ultimate not exactly the longest cooldown. With that mid-engage, though, when Draven did get caught out, they knew that they could blow a lot to kill him, but then Lulu would ult and they'd have to use even more resources, and they were afraid of the follow-up once Shockwave is down. As Shockwave and Death Sentence being the big deterrents from a turret dive at that point, they would have both had to have been used, and that leaves themselves open to a very, very rough dive. So email support not capitalizing on a possible kill, but it's all about resource management. Looks like we see the lead now going to about 1.1k as initiation from Kha'Zix doesn't quite pick up anything. I believe he did get the Wraith though, so hey.
That's true. He's
not
ganking
bad.
the Wraiths.
There you go, gank the Wraiths. The most important objective of all.
I mean, it's about sending a message, and oh, there's the Whirling Death. A little bit off center there. It's not putting on a lot of pressure.
So
and yeah, there's no way
he's dead, actually,
wait.
That.
Oh,
Okay,
he barriers it. All right, so not sure why he would re-engage.
There
Oh, there's
go.
the flash under turret. You can't stay there against the Draven. He'll dive you every time. Zig going down in that 1v1 versus Hood Stomp.
That was rough for Zig. Not really sure what he was doing. He saw the Draven axe go out. He knew where it was as he barely dodged it out. And then he walked back to where it would have came to return to hit him. So unfortunate for him. I think he must have thought the axe had already gone off screen and would have returned at that point. But, you know, you can always press R as Draven to send that sucker right on back. So Lucian, of course, this is the part of the game where Draven's auto attacks become crazy. Lucian has to kind of play the spell weaving game rather than just going for the spinning axes that Draven does.
Right.
Ooh,
oh,
Zingy.
and there's Zingy, not where he wants to go. Oh, he dodges the crescendo, taking the lantern on out. Great play there. Death Sentence, though, on to Heaven Time. Don't really think Adrian really wants to do all that much there.
I mean, you could have followed through with that. It would have been to 3 enemy champions. Draven was really close by. I don't think anything could have gone wrong with that. But now, turret killed. Draven picks up his own Adoration Gold and a kill as well, so Goldie now up to about 400 for LoLPro. This is the mid-game impact point of both Jax and Draven. Jax might want to farm up one more item, that Blade of the Rune King, possibly go for a tanky item first, but Draven can now start having huge impacts in team fights. Once you pick up the Bloodthirster, and especially if you get extra gold, like let's say from a kill onto not Hood Stomp, but a kill onto Zig, you can go ahead and just start roaming in team fights if you don't get folks in a fight because Draven's incredibly high mid-game damage. Now he is still low range, doesn't have a blink, doesn't have a dash, but I really want to see LoLPro try and either go for more Draven split push trying to kill Lucian, or just go heavy on a push because they cannot deal with Draven at this point unless they blow everything to kill him.
Yeah, Dragon Raider needs to complete his Ninja Tabby. A little bit of a pull in there on that lantern, but no catches just yet. slow, avoid spikes. Death Sentence once again missing. Wards being cleared out. But like you said, at this big midpoint of the game, what are you looking for? You're looking for either a pick or you're looking for a 1v1. And here's the pick attempt in the mid lane, not working out. 1v1s, they're all going to go to Hanser. That guy is so far ahead. He's Sunfire Cape, it's a great defensive item, but not against the Jax with Trinity Force.
Well, Lance does land onto a Ziggy. No follow-up going to happen. Right now, Sun Ultimate is not up, so it's going to be a little bit of delayed teamfight from LoLPro. They can go for some pressure, go for the push, but you want that big crescendo, especially when a lot of their other CC isn't quite as massive in the AoE. Like, Blue Ultimate is big in terms of its AoE for the stun or the knockup, but it's not massive like a Sona Ultimate.
Yeah, and Sona Ultimate and Orianna ult are the two big setups to that fight.
I don't know what Hanser or what Dragon
that
Raider was doing.
Almost as confusing as watching Zig stay at 2 HP against the full health Draven at the bottom turret. The email support just underestimating the damage. Well, there's some damage coming in. They blow up low. He gets load up there at the end, and Hood Stomp will take down a turret. Hanser's taking down a turret. Just turrets falling everywhere. LoLPro really sticking it here to email support. There's the stand aside. Repel is out there. Huge command shockwave, but an equally good giant growth. And now jumping in once again. Heaven Time just going off the leap right back onto Yasui. There's the Whirling Death coming back in, but Yasui takes him down, and so Heaven Time biting off a little bit more than he can chew, makes it a 2-4-3. But at the same time, email support, they're starting to feel the effects of having to go up against so many high farm, high damage champions.
Yeah, I mean, they do come out a little bit worse in terms of kills, but nothing too bad for email support, except they lost top turret, they lost bot turret, and that was just a rough fight. They pick off Sona. Sona didn't have the ultimate available, but regardless, even with that huge ultimate from Yasui, it was the burst from Kha'Zix, it was the Draven ultimate, and not even Draven auto attacks to chunk down Elise and chunk down a member of email support, and it's getting rough for them. They need to try and play these grouped up team fights, but because all of the high damage bursty assassins are doing well, and they're being backed up by a Lulu, who is also doing decently herself, they don't really have a lot of wiggle room. The person who's not doing that hot this game would be Sona, just because he doesn't be able to get any of those kill secure moments. It's actually Crescendo does come
crescendo,
out.
And there's going to be more stuns as Hanser jumped in. Nobody can move there from email support. They got their spam filter clogged with something, I don't know, but Laud comes in for another kill. That's a 2-for-0. A lot of ults used, but hey, it's exactly what they needed to not only establish control around the dragon, but also really pick up those 2 kills on really high priority targets.
Man, this is rough for email support. They have to get picks onto more or less 3 champions at this point. They have to kill a fight, and Jax has to either be denied any sort of entry, or he has to he has to be denied entry or be killed beforehand in a pick or a gank or something like that. Someone like Draven, it's kind of the same thing. They have to jump onto him, but if they dogpile onto the Draven, then they risk dying to the Jax, they risk dying to the Kha'Zix. Any sort of just upright team fight now is going to be incredibly difficult for email support to either kite out or even just fight out straight up. And I'm worried for them right now. They can still make some picks happen. We've seen some throws. They can teach a LoLPro how to throw a Baron, but it's going to be rough.
Exactly, and we've seen some crazy comebacks in League of Legends recently anyway. It just really solidifies in my mind that the game is never over. I think if you guys watched Masters last night at OGN, it was some of the best comebacks I've ever seen, like all season long. Here in NACL, it's pretty much the same thing. Now just kiting out Dragon Raider. It's a little bit unsure which way to go. Winds up going backwards, which is a pretty good direction ahead. So he's going to stay up, stay safe for now. But there's you can see there's a couple people down here at the bottom turret. They're just like, all right, Hanser is getting huge. We don't want to let him just farm for free. But in the meantime, Hoodstomp's just pushing away mid.
Yeah, they actually setting Kha'Zix just for the leap, for the damage, for a little bit of a scary presence. He's so spooky right now. He's just scary. He's a big old bug. But the mid turret does go down. The shockwave will go down as well.
Man, those minions died so fast.
Did it even hit a minion? I thought
it hit 2 creeps, actually. They both died.
Oh,
so.
Well, good farming tactics coming out from Yasui.
Yeah.
Massive range of the shockwave, so it makes it a little bit safer, but that's going to be rough. They now know there is no big Orianna ultimate. The next big ultimate will be Shyvana, and that's not quite that scary just because of how defensive Dragon Raider has had to build. And even with that, he's not doing that hot either. So we might see more push come out. I'd see just kind of Jungle Warrior ward up the map, get ready for a possible Baron attempt. As a Baron team from LoLPro, it's pretty damn good with Jax, Kha'Zix, and Draven. And to back that all up, Sona's actually really good with these Baron comps because of her bonus attack damage on her Arya of... I cannot remember the name of it.
Arya of Perseverance heals. Song of Celerity is
Hymn of Valor.
Hymn of Valor, of course, being that offensive spell. So, Yeah, there you go. And look at if Azinki's just like hunting through his jungle. He's like, man, I really wish I had some jungle creeps out there. What weren't stolen away by LoLPro are now being taken by his team. So it's a sad day to be a spider there on email support. He's busy like crawling the web, but it's all the emails have been supported apparently. Apparently the jungle too.
All the tickets have been answered. They've been answered by LoLPro, and LoLPro's very, very happy with the results. Going to leave a positive response to the survey. But with the split pushing beginning one more time, there are 0 outer turrets left for email support. This is when a lot of teams have a lot of issues actually pushing in the base, because getting past the inhibitor turret, it's pretty damaging. Not a Nexus turret, of course, not the Fountain turret, but it still does a lot of DPS. And B, it's pretty hard to fight in that narrow area, but we can already see Thresh is about to die if he walks into the brush. There was a jungle bait being set up, but they did not actually go for it on the side of LoLPro, deciding just to kind of reveal themselves.
Yeah.
You can see Dragon Raider up top just not having any fun versus Hanser, who's just diving the turret for harass.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Hanser is going to be able to turn this one around. There's the Dragon's Descent on in. There's Ignite burning. No, was not enough to take him down. That was actually Flame Breath that went in there. Ignite, of course, taking off a little bit earlier, but with so much to say, okay, Azingi's just going to be able to pick up this kill for free. Dodging things out there. Where's the repel? Hanser's still alive, but not for long. Azingi will finally stop that push, but we got a Dragon, or Baron rather, engaged. Having time, okay, well, he's not going to get caught out there by anything but the box. And is able to back off successfully.
Slow does land onto Lucian. Lucian, of course, does have that relentless pursuit. Will be able to go ahead and keep himself safe, and just a doesn't burn him. Now, that fight bot lane, that was a little bit of overconfidence coming out from Jax. Hanser thought he could pull off the plays, and actually initiation coming out from Kha'Zix.
Yeah, and I don't think he's really going to initiate in, or Low could just turn things right back around with a huge crescendo. There's one. They're going to find 2, but it's a 2-for-1 so far, as, of course, Hanser died earlier, so they won't have that big carry from the back line, but what they do have is Hood Stomp. He's a pretty big carry there, and I don't think he's going to stay in the back line very long. Just loves charging in, and without a whole lot to stop him other than a big crescendo, or command shockwave into Zig damage. Zig finally showing up, and that will be the signal for LoLPro to back away.
And fantastic positioning from LoLPro. They did not overcommit once that fight. They could have kept chasing onto Orion. They could have saved group up as 4 because command shockwave come and destroy them, which has happened in the past. You see, always had some great command shockwaves. But LoLPro, they staggered their offense. They knew that Kha'Zix could just leap in eventually, either blow the command shockwave, blow some cooldowns. He might himself die, but it would delay and give enough time for the rest of his team to catch up. But they stayed spread out, they staggered their assault, did not get blown up by Yasui, and they just end up getting 2 kills for more or less free. So really, really solid engage. They don't even blow cooldowns like Flash on Kha'Zix, who almost died to Oriana. They actually had that Flash available for the shockwave to make it even safer for himself.
Yeah, and with, you know, I just saw Shock. Oh, he was repositioning the ball. I saw Shockwave, like, flicker on the
cooldown
screen.
for a second. It's like, did you just use shockwave?
Yeah, you can't use it while you're moving the ball with command attack, so there you go.
That would be pretty strong
like have a
if you
moving
could.
shockwave through the team. That'd be pretty slick, but can't unfortunately do that just yet. You have to position the ball first, and shockwave later. So trying to clear out ward coverage. It will not be in time. Oh, the last hit on the ward is the vision lens does fade there at the end.
On a side note, there's a 2-man Baron going on, I believe.
Shh.
Okay, we won't mention it.
There's no way they'll figure it out.
It looks like it could be a bait, however, they're both at the actual Baron.
Yeah,
area.
there you
That's
go. You can see it right there.
Yeah.
Jax damage, percentage damage from Kha'Zix.
They are tearing through this. There is no chance this will be denied. No, there's no one's in range. This is going to be a secured, safe, very smart Baron coming out from LoLPro. And it gives them both Baron and a solid, I'd say about 7.5 or 8.5k.
And you can't tell it's on Sona because she already had a purple aura around. Okay, just kidding. You can pretty much see that. And now Hood Stomp's just wailing on Dragon Raider, who was actually able to trade that away pretty well, but there's a Bloodthirster on Hood Stomp, so just gets all that HP right back.
It's going to be A-okay. You can walk away very easily from that slow threat. But the Death Sentence still lands, actually.
And Hood Stomp is going to be forced to flash out there. Not sure where that crescendo is going, but Low does still stay alive. Ooh, and a nice knock up there. Hanser is going in on this. He's going to try to take down Dragon Raider. It's a big sustained fight, which is what Jax is excel on. One more axe comes down to Hood Stomp on a killing spree, getting all kinds of adoration for him from not only his team, but apparently everybody else who loves that League of Draven. First inhibitor. The game going down here just shy of the 30-minute mark.
And it's going to be a second inhibitor as well. They could have rushed for the game, however, Shyvana and Lucian's still up. It might have been a little bit risky. Might have seen some good bursts. However, everybody's at full HP. If Dragon Raider goes down here, that might actually be the game. But instead, he's going to push out 2 inhibitors, rotate towards the third as the waves are just positioned perfectly. They've seen aggressive, sated, very split push on style. So all the waves desperately pushing in towards email support. Hunter will keep Shyvana safe, but there goes a third turret, there goes a third inhibitor in a second or so. And with that, they could back on out of here and just leave and come back in 2 minutes once his base is overrun by super minions.
And I don't know what's going to deal damage here for email support. Pretty much they have to just rely on maybe a huge shockwave into Shyvana ults. But honestly, I'm not sure who's going to sustain through. We were talking about, oh, how are email support going to do damage? You look at LoLPro, and pretty much everyone does damage on their team. Maybe with the exception of Sona, but those the crescendos really been setting up these fights so well for LoLPro.
The crescendos, the talisman of ascension, her own speed boost means it's just a great possible rundown. A little bit of a hiccup on the stream though. Seems to be doing a-okay.
Okay, the dragon disappeared, and all right, champions are moving again. It's good to see.
No minions going for the like all-out war versus each other, just fighting forever. Luckily not happening this time around, but 14,000 gold now for LoLPro. The super minions are building up quite strong. You can see them kind of barreling down the mid lane. They don't need to rush objectives. They can just fight with this big old wave of super minions. If they can kill Thresh right now, that would be huge, but he will be okay.
All right, now email support, they did actually take down the first 2 dragons of the game. Second 2 dragons, of course, going over to LoLPro, and that little one in the Baron column too. But as LoLPro push in for what could be the final push of the game, Culling will take out a bunch of those super minion waves pushing down mid, but still only those 2 Nexus turrets left alive, and all 3 inhibitors are down. Looks like, oh, going in, there's the box going to be dropped. Haunter trying to kite backwards, very, very strong now. Will leap back and onto his Ziggy. Chunks him down, he's heading back to base. No deaths so far for either side, but everybody dropping low. There you go, it's Adrian, the first to fall. Now the base in shambles. The Ziggy's going to try to come in here and take out at least somebody. Goes in, goes down, hood stomp, just taking out every single thing in his path. The Nexus will finally fall, and that will be the game at long last, coming in at clocking in just about 30 minutes. So nice close there. We said, hey, teams having trouble closing out games. LoLPro, not one of them.
I mean, the Baron push and a triple inhibitor, that's a pretty good strategy. And overall, LoLPro, they had the laning, they had the control. Some hiccups went on early game, but Haunter, he carried his team carried him in response with their great grouping, great rotation, and LoLPro played a fantastic game.
Absolutely, and that's only one of the fantastic games they have tonight, because you're getting 3 LoLPro games in a row. So that was game 1. Next up, they'll be going up against LMQ, and the game after that, they'll be facing up against Team 8. So it's kind of running the gauntlet here for LoLPro. We'll have to see if they can continue their win streak when NACL returns right after this.